Just keep it even until the person shuts up.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Supervisor Vecchio,
Say that again.
Councilman McCarthy,
Here.
Councilman Wareheim,
Here.
Councilman Creighton,
Here,
Councilman Malloy.
Here.
Good evening. First public hearing tonight is to consider a zoning petition as submitted by LMI Comac Realty Company and Fayland Realty Hess Corporation for change of zone from wholesale service industry district to professional business district and quarter-acre residential to a neighborhood business district on property located on the southeast corner of Jericho Turnpike and Haunted Road in Comac. Tax map number is here on the agenda document. Someone here on behalf of the applicant?
Supervisor. Appearing on behalf of the applicant, Eugene L. DiNicola, 200 Railroad Avenue, Sayville, New York. Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. I don't know if this is working. Let the record reflect that I have submitted the affidavit of posting, the affidavit of compliance with notification provisions, and the return receipts to the town clerk. Now, the applicant is requesting a change of zone of the subject premises from WSI, which is wholesale and service industry, PB, professional office, and R15 residence, to NB, neighborhood business district, in order to construct a Hess gasoline filling station consisting of a canopy over 6 gasoline dispenser islands and a diesel dispenser island, and a Hess Express convenience store. The area within which the subject premise is located, it fronts on Jericho Turnpike on its north side. Jericho Turnpike, as we know, is a well-traveled east-west arterial highway, which will be described in detail by a traffic engineer who will submit testimony following my presentation. On its west side, the subject premises fronts on Haunted Road, which is a north-south arterial roadway, which also will be further described by the traffic engineer. Now, to the north, across Jericho Turnpike from the subject premises, is a Friendly's restaurant, and to the east of the Friendly restaurant is a Chuck E. Cheese restaurant. And if you proceeded easterly along the northerly side of Jericho Turnpike, there's a florist, Dunkin' Donuts, law office, etc. Now, to the east of the subject premises, along the south side of Jericho Turnpike, there is M.J. Kim Insurance Agency, the Spare Rib Restaurant, a swimming pool supply business, which appears to be closed, a Gasoline Heaven Gulf gasoline filling station, Gasoline Heaven convenience store, an office building, then you have Walter Court, and then if there's a Jiffy Lube, and then slightly to the east is the large Mayfair Shopping Center. To the south of the subject premises, a professional office building, which has recently been renovated, I believe for a podiatrist, and then dwellings along the easterly side of Haunted Road proceeding in a southerly direction. To the west across Haunted Road is the Sunken Meadow Parkway. Jericho Turnpike, both east and west, on both north and south sides, is predominantly and overwhelmingly commercial in development. Now, the subject premises, if I may, Mr. Supervisor. I need the site plan. On my left is a site plan of the proposed development by Hess Corporation. The subject premises, as I indicated, is located at the southeast corner of Jericho Turnpike and Harned Road, Comac. Jericho Turnpike, as we know, is also known as New York State Route 25. Now, the subject site consists of 33,327 square feet of area, or 0.77 acres. It has a frontage on Jericho Turnpike of 125 feet, a frontage on Harned Road of 202.75 feet. It currently has located on there a closed two-bay office with gasoline, two-bay gas station with an office. It was a service station, a Shell gasoline service station. That is located on the northerly portion of the property at an angle facing Jericho Turnpike. On the southerly portion of the premises, there is a closed commercial building, one-story retail commercial building on the south portion. The subject parcel is predominantly in the WSI zone. Research of the town zoning maps by the site engineer determined that approximately the southerly 35 feet, approximately this gray strip here, is zoned PB. That's according to the maps that we examined, and that this 25 by 35 foot corner at this location is zone residence B. I'm sorry, residence R15. Now, with regard to the mixed zone status of the parcel, I received a telephone communication from the planning staff on January 6th of 2012.
Excuse me, we need to have silence because we can't hear the speaker. Thank you.
If I may.
Please.
She confirmed that, and I quote, although the property was advertised in 3 zoning districts, the entire parcel is in the WSI zone, and the zoning maps were incorrect. A statement would be made to that effect at the public hearing, I presume by planning. But that was the call I received on January 6th of this year. So if that's the case, then the entire parcel is zone WSI. Now, the applicant is proposing, as corporation, to demolish the existing improvements on the premises. We have a board here showing the improvements. This is the closed Shell station. This is the commercial building right here. This is what the corner looks like currently. So we propose to demolish those improvements existing on the site, which is the closed two-bay gasoline service station and the one-story masonry commercial retail building. Hess will then erect a new canopy over 6 dispenser islands. And a 1,231 square foot convenience store. This is the proposed canopy. This is the proposed canopy, and this is the proposed convenience store. I'm sure the board is familiar with them since Hess has constructed other similar structures in the town. Now, the canopy will have a mansard-style top or canopy with the gasoline dispenser islands beneath. That will be erected on the northerly portion of the site, and I apologize for having to constantly change things, but I'm trying to show the board as I pursue my presentation. The canopy will be on the north side, as indicated in this tan. The convenience store will be on the southerly portion, as indicated also on the tan rectangle. It will have a logo, as you will see, the Hess logo in block letters. The Hess logo will be backlighted with a green hue. The lighting on the underside of the canopy will be recessed into the deck, so it won't be the bulbs that come down and cause a glare. The shingles on the mansard portion of the canopy will match the roof shingles on the proposed Hess Express building. The architecture of the Hess Express being constructed is our Hamptons design, which has a peak roof, a cupola, porch, shingled roof. It has the hardy plank siding, or it's clapboard siding, but it's really a hardy plank material. It's a very attractive building. The Hess Express building will have a total of 1,231 square feet of gross floor area. The building will contain an electrical and utility area, ADA compliant restroom, office, cashier and counter area, sales area, and a cooler area. The sales area is 614 square feet. The Hess Express store and the canopy will have a total floor area ratio on the site of only 13.6%. 50%, as you know, is permitted in the NB district. The subject parcel will contain 7,016 square feet of landscape area, or 21% of the site. The site will have 18 parking stalls, 6 of which will be land banked. 12.3 spaces are required by the code. The ITE manual recommends 4 spaces for each 1,000 square feet of gross floor area. So the ITE manual would say, let's say 7 spaces. We're providing 12. We do have another 6, but they're really not needed. Additionally, there'll be 12 fueling positions beneath the canopy, and although the fueling positions cannot be counted for all practical purposes, there will be 24 parking spaces on the site. Many people, if they're going to purchase something in the convenience store, leave their car at the pump and walk to the convenience store. At Jericho Turnpike, there will be 2 curb cuts, right turn in and right turn out. There will only be 1 curb cut on Harnett Road, and that's at the southerly portion of the property, and that curb cut will also serve as an access to the parking area of the Spare Rib Restaurant, which is to the west. Additionally, the party to the south, the owner of the property to the south that has renovated that building, they're going to have a cross-access. We put it about here because we think that's about where it is. It's currently existing as a part of their site plan. They will have a cross-access to either go to Harnett Road if they wish, or if they wish to go through out to Jericho Turnpike for their patients. Hess is also proposing an access for the M.J. Kim Insurance Agency. At this point, they only have a 50 by 100-foot parcel of land, so that their access is on Jericho Turnpike. At this point, if they parked in the rear of their building, they'd be able to access the cross-access area at Harnett Road, or would be able to, I guess, use the Hess exit if they had a problem getting out of their own parcel. It is only 50 feet wide. As we all know, Hess does not perform auto repairs, and none will be conducted on the premises. All lighting will be contained on the site. Also, a new sanitary system will be installed, meeting the current health department standards. The original building, the Shell gasoline station, was erected, I believe, in 1954, which I will get to in my presentation. So that's probably that is a sanitary system that would not be approved with today's requirements. Now, the site is large and more than adequate for the proposed development. As we know, gasoline filling stations are not destination points. They pick up pass-by traffic that is already in the traffic stream and will enter and exit the site. People do not go to a gas station. They combine the purchase of gasoline with another trip, such as going to and from work, shopping, etc. Also, people do not shop in convenience stores. It is an item that is probably needed at the moment, thus a convenience item. The subject site is either all WSI, which is according to the planning staff, or a majority portion is WSI. In the WSI zoning district, a gasoline filling station is a conditionally permitted use. The building, however, may not exceed 1,000 square feet of gross floor area if it is a new filling station with an accessory convenience store. And no retail sales may be had in the building in excess of 350 square feet of area. The applicant is proposing a building of 1,231 square feet, or only 231 square feet larger than the ordinance provides. And this is so we can construct our Hamptons building, which is certainly a very attractive building and does meet, or certainly enhance, the town of Smithtown in its architectural appearance. So 231 square feet difference than what is permitted by the zoning ordinance. The sales area is, it's finally working. The sales area is only 614 square feet, which is 264 square feet larger than the permitted 350 square feet. So you're not talking an overwhelming difference between what is conditionally permitted and what is proposed by Hess. So aside from those nominal differences, having a conditionally permitted use on the site could be constructed there in any event. The traffic safety concerns regarding this proposed use, in my opinion, are nothing more than a ruse, because you can construct a 1,000 square foot building for a gasoline filling station with a 350 square foot convenience store. The only reason the applicant requires a change of zone to the NB district is because the convenience store sales area, as proposed, is in excess of the 350 square feet permitted in the ordinance, and the building is 1,231 square feet, and they consider this a retail establishment as opposed to an accessory use to a gasoline filling station. A gasoline filling station has existed on the site since 1954 and has operated as such with repair bays until perhaps, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, something like that. Gasoline filling stations have always had a secondary use as a part of their operation. In the infancy of the automotive age, gasoline was sold as a part of an operation of a general store, a couple of pumps out front. In fact, this location had the pumps at Jericho Turnpike up until 1982. And then, following the general store age with gasoline filling stations, we had the 2 pumps in front, the huge big things, if you remember. And then as a part of an auto repair operation. So now they went from the general store with the pumps in front to an auto repair operation on site with bays, and you sold the gas out front and did the repairs in the bays. And I might say that now something old is new again, which is the convenience store. The property of the site, as I've indicated, is the site of a previously operating gasoline filling station, which operated on a smaller portion of the property. Approximately 12,500 square feet of the property was occupied by the Shell station and its repair bays. The subject site, as I have indicated, is substantially larger with better ingress and egress, better on-site traffic movements, better interaction with adjoining properties, and much better in appearance architecturally and landscape-wise. The use, I'm sure we all realize, a gasoline filling station must be proposed on or constructed on a major arterial highway. You don't exactly put a gasoline filling station on a side road or a residential road. The primary function of the proposal is that of a gasoline filling station, not a retail store, again referring to the requirement that it be placed in the NB zone. The convenience store is a secondary use for the convenience of the vehicle operators purchasing gasoline for his or her auto. The proposed use will serve the needs of the community and the general public for gasoline purchases and convenience items, which again are primarily purchased by customers who are at the site to purchase gasoline. These gasoline dispensers are equipped with card readers so that customers using credit cards do not even have to enter the convenience store if they don't wish to pay for their gasoline purchase. Pay for it right at the pump with your card into the card reader. Now, the subject property has been in its current closed, run-down, or blighted, unattractive condition for a substantial period of time. Let's say, I guess, the 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it is. I have photos here of what the corner looks like today. There's a panel of photos to my left. Now, a prior application by Hess in 2007 was disapproved, and the property has remained the same since that time, boarded up, unattractive, and blighted. The proposed redevelopment by Hess will be a vast improvement. It will be a neatly maintained property providing a service and a product for the local community and the town at large. It will provide a stable real estate tax base for the town for many years to come, and not only that, it will generate, not only will it generate higher real estate taxes, it will generate sales tax revenue. Additionally, the redevelopment of the site will generate approximately 30 to 40 jobs during construction and approximately 10 permanent jobs thereafter. The site will be operated by Hess Corporation directly and will not be a franchise operation. The proposed Hess development will enhance the area with its new investment. Hess Corporation operates several sites within the town of Smithtown currently for gasoline filling stations with convenience stores in business districts. At the southwest corner of Indian Head Road and Meadow Road in Kings Park in the CB district. At the southeast corner of Pulaski Road and Old Comac Road, Kings Park, again in the CB district, that's central business. At New York State Route 111 and New York State Route 347, Smithtown, in the NB district. At the southwest corner of New York State Route 347 and Mount Pleasant Road, Hauppauge, in the NB district. On October 30th, 2007, pursuant to zoning petition 2007-02, the applicant was Karen LP in that application. The town board approved the change of zone from WSI zone to NB zone for the property located at the northwest corner of Jericho Turnpike and Kings Park Road, Comac, to permit the construction of a Hess filling station with canopy over gasoline dispensers and a 1,231 square foot Hess convenience store. It is in operation, the same type of development as is proposed this evening. That location is approximately half a mile east on the north side of Jericho Turnpike. In the 2008 hearing on this site, the planning report stated in its evaluation section, under the heading Advantages, approval would encourage orderly development of the site. Also, approval would permit development of a viable commercial use at this location. And then under its heading Disadvantages, traffic circulation would be more complex at the intersection, for which no proof was offered, and a filling station and convenience store would be a more intensive use of the site. However, without acknowledging that the uses are integrated and compatible in the current retail sales business for gasoline filling stations. The two disadvantages enumerated seem not to have a reasonable logic and are without basis, whereas the advantages stated are clear, concise, and indicate good zoning practice and development. The Planning Department, however, recommended denial of the application based upon a determination that the neighborhood was adequately served by other nearby retail locations. So I question whether or not the Planning Department is now picking who may open a business and who may not. The same advantages and disadvantages contained in the 2008 planning report were carried into the November 21, 2011 report as well. The intersection is controlled by a multi-phase traffic signal system which causes volumes of traffic to move well in all directions. A traffic engineer will elaborate on the traffic control system at this location. The Planning Board of the Town of Islip recommended approval of this application, recommended to the board that they approve it, or they recommended approval, on October 19th of 2011. The Suffolk County Planning Commission determined that it was a matter of local determination. At this time, Mr. Supervisor, I would like to have a traffic expert engineer submit testimony, if I may.
Yeah, I just
Town
want,
of Smithtown, right? Not Islip.
I'm sorry?
You said Islip.
Oh,
Planning board of Town of Smithtown.
oh yeah, no, town. I was just in Islip last night. Town of Smithtown. Islip probably would approve it, though.
just want to correct one item of your statement. You indicated this was previously heard in 2007. It was 2009.
Well, it was case number 2007. Did I?
Oh, okay, well, all right, fair enough. But
That-
it was heard in 2009, let's make that.
Yeah,
for the
before
record.
this board, and it was case number 2007-02.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. If I may, at this
Sure.
time, traffic engineer, Mr. Chris Robinson. Is that all your stuff? Okay, Mr. Robinson, would you please state your name, address, and profession for the board? Are these your CVs? Okay.
Please use the mic.
Christopher Robinson, president of RMS Engineering, doing business at 355 New York Avenue, Huntington, New York.
Mr. Robinson, are these your written qualifications?
Yes, they are.
I'd like to submit them to the board.
Thank you.
Yeah, leave it, we'll get it, we'll get him to him.
Have you made a site and area inspection for this hearing regarding the premises?
Yes, I have.
Did you prepare a written report with regard to the traffic conditions at this site?
Yes, I have.
Did you review the site plan, and does it provide for adequate on-site parking of vehicles and vehicle circulation for the proposed use?
Yes, it does.
Would you please present to the board your findings with regard to the traffic conditions at the intersection of Jericho Turnpike and Haunted Road, taking into consideration the construction of a gasoline filling station and convenience store as proposed by the applicant, Hess Corporation, and whether the proposed uses will have any adverse effect or interfere in any way with the vehicular flow in the area?
Yes. Good evening. Again, Chris Robinson, RMS Engineering, 355 New York Avenue, Huntington, New York. I'd like to first start just expanding a little bit on what Mr. DiNicola said regarding the site. Property is 33,327 square feet, or approximately 0.765 acres. As Mr. DiNicola stated, and as also stated in the November planning report, the property is entirely zoned WSI zone. There are two structures on the site. One is the 1,321 square foot former Shell gas station, which after approximately 53 years in service was closed, I believe in 06, 07. Had a CO from March 3rd, 1954. The other structure is a 2,679 square foot retail establishment, was formerly a window, blind, and shade shop for approximately 4,000 square feet of development on the property. Our client, Hess Corporation, is proposing to raise those two structures and replace it with a 1,231 square foot service station, and Hess Express convenience store with 12 fueling positions, resulting decrease of over 2,769 feet, or a 70% reduction in the overall development yield of the property. The site plan before you to my left was prepared by FST and adequately lays out the curb cuts. There are approximately, right now there are 5 curb cuts serving the proposed property. That'll be reduced to 2. They'll both be controlled access, right in and right out on Harned Road near the southerly component of the property, a right in, right out driveway on Jericho Turnpike. The site also takes into consideration New York State DOT's policy of access management. In fact, this site is providing cross-access to 4 properties: the Hess Station itself, the insurance office immediately to our east, the doctor's office immediately to our south, and the restaurant, the Spare Rib, just a little further east. All these properties will be able to share common driveway and access to Harned Road, thereby eliminating the need for any left turns out onto Jericho Turnpike, because those maneuvers can actually happen from Harned Road and go through the controlled signalized intersection. So if anybody's going to leave the insurance office, they will no longer be able to make a left onto Jericho Turnpike. They can come through the site, go to Harned Road, make a right turn, and have full access at the intersection of Harned, Indian Head, and Jericho Turnpike. The access, as I said, will be both right in and right out in both locations, and are fully conforming with the New York State DOT. And this portion of Harned Road is actually town of Smithtown Road. The access to Jericho Turnpike has been configured in conformance with the New York State DOT. Do we have a copy of that letter, Jeff? The New York State Department of Transportation issued comments yesterday. I have a copy I can hand up to the board. The application, Mr. Lazarchuk will hand it up in a few minutes. The plan to my left, prepared by FST, incorporates the comments received from the New York State DOT. They recommended that the existing large shared curb cut between the insurance office and the former fueling station be reduced in size to approximately a 22-foot curb cut with restriction for no left turns onto Jericho Turnpike. Separate the Hess driveway to a right in, right out, and essentially located on the property. And we are in full agreement with the recommendations that the state's made in their letter, and the application will be submitted back to them in reflecting the comments that they issued yesterday. As Mr. DiNicola pointed out, and is also mentioned in the November 21st planning memo, the subject property is owned entirely WSI. It's the intent of the applicant to construct a service station with a convenience store containing 350 square feet of sales area. The applicant would be entitled to construct a service station with a convenience store containing 350 square feet of sales area in a 1,000 square foot building as a conditionally permitted use subject to a special exception permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. The change of zone application sought here tonight is to expand that building from 1,000 square feet to 1,231 square feet, a minor 23% increase in the area, a very de minimis amount. The minor increase in floor area that will be conducted for the sales would go from 350 square feet, which is allowed in the code, to 614 square feet, approximately a 75% increase in area. I'd like to talk a little bit about the circulation patterns around the site. The exhibit Mr. Lazarchuk just placed up here is a depiction of the aerial photograph of the area and a depiction of the 5 phases of the existing signalized intersection of the road. The Harned Road, Indian Head Road, Jericho Turnpike has a 5-phase intersection traffic signal. It's got approximately 150-second total cycle length. That total cycle, as I said, is combined in 5 phases. And I'd like to just go through each of the phases. The first phase, as shown in the diagram up in the upper left area, allows for when the green light coming off the Saginaw Coast or the Sunken Meadow Parkway receives a green light. There's also a green light for eastbound left turn maneuvers and a green light for southbound right turn maneuvers. all the other maneuvers are stopped at a red light and can't conflict. So if someone would be coming off the parkway, getting a green light, they can cross through the intersection and simply make a right turn into the right-in driveway, receive gas, and continue back off in the easterly direction with no impact at all to that phase of the intersection. Again, this entire intersection is controlled. All approaches, there is no right on red. They're all signed and controlled that way. The second phase would permit westbound right, through, and left turns, which will not be impacted by the proposed HES, as well as northbound right turns, which would also not be impacted since the customer would be able to make a right turn off of Harnett Road into the driveway prior to the intersection. The third phase permits eastbound and westbound through traffic and eastbound and westbound right turns and permissive northbound right turns. The northbound right turns are not permitted on red, so the eastbound traffic can easily access, again, coming through the intersection, can simply make a right turn in, utilize the facility, and continue on out and a right turn out with no impact to the existing traffic stream.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
If the traffic light permits eastbound traffic to proceed eastbound, did you look at the potential of vehicles making a right turn out as the eastbound traffic is proceeding east?
Yes.
You see no conflict there?
See no conflict. We've reviewed the gap analysis, that's considered, and we have measured the gaps, and there's adequate gaps for that right turn to occur with no impediment. The fourth phase of the cycle permits the southbound right, through, and left turns, which are protected. And again, the northbound right turns are not permitted on red, so anybody that's coming in the southbound direction that makes a left turn onto Jericho can simply make a right turn into the site. The fifth phase permits northbound and southbound maneuvers as permissive lefts and through maneuvers. As I stated earlier, my firm prepared a traffic engineering assessment, which was just handed up to you tonight. This report was first prepared for the October 19th Planning Board meeting. The one we handed up tonight is a revised version of that October report. The major updates to the report include the fact that we went and collected data at 3 existing HES stations in the town of Smithtown. We collected data on October 1st, Saturday, October 1st, Wednesday, October 5th. We conducted the data at the HES station at the corner of New York State 347 and Mount Pleasant Road, which has a 1,000-square-foot HES Express and 12 fueling stations. The HES at New York State 25 and Kings Park Road, which has a 1,231-square-foot HES Express, exactly what we're proposing here, as well as 12 fueling stations. And the HES at 347 and New York State Route 111, which again has a 1,231-square-foot HES Express and 12 fueling stations. The data collected was done in full conformance with the ITE, the Institute of Transportation Engineers procedures, and was performed to determine the following activities: the peak hour trip generation, parking activity, including the maximum number of vehicles parked. Also looked at the number of patrons parked at the pumps that may access the convenience store, as well as determining of the pass-by trips. Those trips being are merely passing the site and enter the site and exit back on the direction of travel they were. A pass-by trip would be you're going from your house on your way to the office, you realize you need gas on the way, you pull in, you get gas, and you continue on your way. That's a pass-by trip. That vehicle is going to be on the road, it's already part of the roadway network, and it's simply making a stop off on the way to where they're going, as opposed to a destination trip would be you'd leave your house in the morning saying, I'm going to go to HES today and get gas, drive to HES, and come back home again. That would be a destination trip. I made one of those to a gas station this year to fill up my snowblower. It was kind of a wasted trip, I think. The data collected, we collected at the weekday AM peak period from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., the weekday PM commuter peak from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., and the Saturday midday peak from 11 to 3. In addition to the vehicular activity, we also observed the customer usages at the facilities. We looked at it to see how many percent of the customers are there just to get gas, how many are getting gas and utilizing the convenience store, or how many are just looking at the convenience store, just doing that. We collected this data both in the AM, PM, and Saturday, and it's contained in the report in Table 1. To summarize it, of all the times we collected, the average use was 56% of the traffic coming to the site got gas only. Approximately 27% got gas and used the convenience store, bought a pack of gum, pack of cigarettes, something to that effect. And about 17% actually came, parked, used the C-store, and left. It follows logic. When when you get gas, you're generally driving down the road and you stop, you pick up gas on your way and continue forward. A very small amount of those people will actually come use that store, probably like me, filling the snowblower up this year. The amended report utilizes the Hess trip generation rate collected, where the October report we used the ITE generation rates for a service station. The data that we collected at the existing Hess stores is a little bit higher than what the ITE has. And we surmise that the difference is related to the fact that a lot of the retail gasoline stations have dropped out. Mobil, Exxon no longer in the retail business. There's less gas stations around. There's now Hess, several independents. There's very little national chains that handle the retail component anymore. So it would seem that there may be a little bit more volume at the remaining gas stations. The parking was one of the other items we looked at. The parking utilization reviewed at the existing Hess stations. We observed that during the period studied that the least amount of parking we saw was 2 cars. The maximum we saw was 7 vehicles parked at any different time. As Mr. DiNicola said, we have 12 paved parking spaces plus land bank parking, so those 12 spaces will more than adequately handle the demands of parking on the facility. The final item we studied was to determine of the actual pass-by rates. We prepared a questionnaire. It's attached in the report in front of you. I think it's figure 5.17. We questioned the patrons that served the station. We asked them 4 questions. Where did you begin your trip? Was it home, work, retail, or some other establishment? Will you go directly back to your origin from here? Is a yes or no question. Would you have driven by this site if you were not stopping here now? Again, a yes/no question. And if it was no to question 3, we asked how many miles out of your way you might have gone to this gas station. After reviewing this and reviewing the traffic data that we collected, we determined what the actual pass-by percentages are. The ITE, the Institute of Transportation Engineers, for this type of use, recommends a pass-by ratio between 56 and 62%. The data we conducted, we determined that in the AM peak hour, approximately 74% of the users are pass-by trips. The PM peak hour was the same number, 74%, and the Saturday was actually a little higher, about 77% were pass-by trips. The significance of this number is that when you look at the analysis that we presented to you and we presented to the planning board, we take no credit for pass-by. So when we analyze the impact of the traffic signal based on the ITE procedures and the highway capacity manual procedures, we're actually taking 0 credit for any pass-by. So that our analysis in the report is extremely conservative. It means every trip that we assign to the Hess station, we've plugged through that intersection as being a brand new trip, cumulative impact to the intersection, which I think is extremely significant. What it means is primarily the majority of the traffic entering and exiting the site is already on the road network. Passing by the site, it already exists. The majority of the people that are coming to this site or passing this site, they're very familiar with their intersection. They travel through this intersection every day, and that it also minimizes any impacts that may occur in that intersection. When you take into account the actual pass-by traffic, the fact that 74% in the morning, 74% in the afternoon, 77% on Saturday, and you look at the actual trip generation that we've put through, the AM peak hour, as it's indicated in the report, we're showing 126 total trips in the AM peak hour. That's 61 entering the site, 65 leaving the site. When we apply the 74% pass-by, those numbers reduce to approximately 33 total trips, 16 entering and 17 exiting, which would be new trips on it. Based on the fact that we studied and counted the AM peak hour, over 4,000 vehicles travel through that intersection. The new traffic generated by the Hess and the Hess Express would only be 33 cars. Less than 1% increase in the volume of traffic in that intersection would actually be attributed to the new development here. 0.8% is the number. It's a very imperceptible amount, would not make any impact whatsoever to the intersection. The PM peak hour, 4,772 vehicles travel through the intersection. The data we collected from the other Hesses show 217 total trips, 108 entering, 109 leaving. 74% pass-by traffic applied, reduces that number to 57, 28 entering, 29 leaving, a 1.2% increase in the traffic that runs through this intersection. Again, imperceptible. On the Saturday midday peak, 4,525 vehicles travel through that intersection during the peak hour. We have 197 total trips as shown in the report, 102 entering, 95 exiting. After applying the 77% pass-by as applied, that figure reduces to 45 trips, 23 entering, 22 exiting, less than 1% again. Again, imperceptible amount of traffic. We're showing is that the actual usage of the Hess station with the Hess Express as we're proposing would just have an imperceptible impact to that intersection. You wouldn't even notice the additional trips that are added through there. The stations, as we said, we studied at 347 in Mount Pleasant, Jericho Turnpike in Kings Park, and 347 and 111. They each had slightly differing rates of the pass-by traffic. The average is 74 in the morning, 74 in the evening, and 77 on Saturday. The numbers we observed ranged actually between 63 and 91% of the total numbers. The report does contain a detailed analysis of the signalized intersection of Harnett Road, Indian Head Road, Jericho Turnpike. The analysis is performed in accordance with the methodology prescribed in the Highway Capacity Manual from 2000 and the Highway Capacity Software. The results of the analysis are indicated by computing the level of service that runs through the intersection, A representing the lowest level of delay, and F representing the highest level of delay that may be experienced by a vehicle. The resulting analysis are presented in Table 4 of the report, and the analysis is done by looking at two things, the no-build condition and the build condition. In the no-build condition, we use the actual count data that we have. We factor it up using the New York State Department of Transportation's rate. We bring it to the build year, in this case 2013. It's New York State rates of 1.1% increase in traffic, so we factor it up or bring it to the build year of 2013. Then we look at the Hess superimposed traffic, and again, not counting any deduction or any credit for the pass-by, we superimpose the entire volume on for the build condition. In the build condition, the build condition, we don't take any kind of pass-by, so it's really a worst-case scenario, extremely conservative scenario. In this particular location, even at the worst-case scenario, there was an imperceptible increase in any delay. We saw no changes in the level of service, and there was really no delays noted whatsoever. In addition to the traffic assessment, RMS Engineering reviewed the accident data obtained from the New York State DOT. I think we handed up a copy of the letter which summarizes that data. Based on the data that we obtained, there were approximately 77 accidents over a 4-year period, averaging close to 25 accidents per year or less than 2 accidents a month. The total daily volume of traffic that comes through this intersection is approximately 41,600 cars per day travel through this intersection. That's over 15 million vehicles a year. At 25 accidents a year that we occur there on average, out of 15 million cars that go through there, the rate of accidents that come through is 0.0002%. Again, an imperceptible number. There may be several accidents that were noted here, but as a relation to the amount of traffic that throws through this intersection, it's imperceptible. The planning memo that was submitted back in November made mention that there might have been a slight increase in the accident level after the gas station closed. I'd offer to say that it might be after the gas station closed, but primarily the reduction in accidents that we feel occurred at this intersection is when the state DOT came through, and I believe it was early '09, or '08 and modified the traffic signal, making the westbound left turn lane going from a permissive left, and a permissive left means you pull into the intersection when the light's green, you wait for your gap, and then you make a left when you have the opportunity. The state took away the permissive, made it a protective left, so now you have a left arrow, and that left arrow now occurs at this intersection, and I would have to say that that's why the accident level has probably come down a little bit, even though that the data didn't reflect that entirely. In summary, I think based on all the information we've presented, based on the traffic study that we've completed, based on the evidence that we've collected at the existing HES stations, the development as proposed would not create any undue traffic congestion, hazard, or anywhere in the vicinity of this site, and we'd recommend approval of this application by the board.
Hey, I just have two questions, and I want you to know we have 26 people here who wish to speak.
Certainly.
So
Sorry.
I'll be very brief. Your examination of other gas stations, HES gas stations at intersections, were any of them as unique as this intersection in that there's, in my mind, it's a 5-corner intersection?
Yeah, they each have their own uniqueness. I'm not going to go to each one of them. This is, yes, it has a unique intersection. It has that fifth leg that's controlled, but I believe the phasing I described and the way this intersection is controlled, when the green light comes out of the Sunken Meadow Parkway, the only other maneuvers that are permitted to occur through that traffic light at the same time will be out of the Parkway, eastbound Jericho making a left northbound Indian Head Road, and southbound Indian Head Road making a right turn to westbound. We see
Okay,
that even though there is a fifth leg, it is.
And then my other question is, since the traffic accidents in your data are minimal, the minimal amount is because there is no gas station on that corner. Would you expect that it would be increased with right turns in and right turns out?
No, I think the right turn in, right turn out arrangement that we're proposing on the two side street is actually the safest form of access. We're not allowing anybody to make a left turn into this site. They don't have to cross any other lane of traffic. They make a right turn from the lane they're in,
I guess my
pull in, and a
question
right turn out.
wasn't very well spoken. If the accident rate now is de minimis, will there not be an increase when that station operates?
No, we don't anticipate that there would be any real change in that accident rate, the intersection. I think the accident rate, the intersection relates to the existing permissive left turns that occur in there. I haven't done a detailed analysis of what every single accident was there, but I would think that the fact that this gas station existed for over 53 years with 5 curb cuts at the intersection, being reduced to 2 curb cuts in the intersection, providing the access management so that you don't have to make a left turn out across Jericho Turnpike if you're leaving the spare rib. You can go through the driveway now on the south side of the site and make a right turn and enter the intersection. You don't have to make a left turn out of the office building. You can now go through the back and go through here, and the same with the doctor's office to the south. I think it would be a much more improved intersection and a reduction.
Thank you.
I have one last question, Mr. Wareheim.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Just to clarify, there will be no way to go left out of exiting that property either way, Jericho or Hornet, correct?
No, we're not going to allow, we're not permitting left turn. We understand there's a certain volume of business that we're not going to get at this intersection by eliminating those left turns. We are adequately served by the HES about a half mile to the east, which is on the other side of the road. So we feel that we will get the business necessary to build this development here, foregoing those maneuvers.
Thank you.
Mr. Supervisor, I
Yes,
have one last question for
please.
Mr. Robinson. Mr. Robinson, in your professional opinion, would the construction of a gasoline filling station and convenience store at the subject location as proposed by the applicant create an unsafe vehicular situation at this intersection?
No, it will not.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. That concludes our presentation. If there are any other questions, we'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll proceed with those who have signed up to speak. And I would want to indicate to all the speakers that there is a time clock and you're limited to 3 minutes. We'd appreciate if you would abide by that. We expect that the meeting will be respectful, and we'll proceed. The first request is Jeanette Salvito.
Good evening. My name is Jeanette Salvito. I am the Vice President of the Comac Community Association. And a few months ago, I'm a member of the Hauppauge Industrial Association as well, and I attended a manufacturing committee meeting at which was Mr. DeRubis, and I asked him at that time whether or not this Hess situation was going to continue, and he said, oh no, we aren't going to, we have no plans for turning that into the Hess project that seems to have evolved. Apparently that has changed. We are opposed to having the Hess station there. Comac needs, I've lived there since 1959. Comac needs another convenience store like a hole in the head. And I don't know if any of you folks live in that area, but it's highly trafficked. And because we've had more of an influx of large-wheeled vehicles going up there to Indian Head Road, the traffic has intensified. Okay? It's very near and dear to my heart at this point because on the Huntington side, in the Huntington area, if you go to Park Avenue and 25A, you will see a station much like this. And the town had a problem with that one. And at that time, the veterans, local veterans, decided to do some artwork, and there are murals on the gas station that they have. And it's become almost a tourist attraction now, and that's also a very highly trafficked area. It goes up to Huntington Hospital, and the traffic has decreased as a result of leaving it as such. I don't know if I'm over my time limit, but one of the things I do want to mention is the image that they had of the fish. It looked like a fisheye lens. I used to teach video of that corner, which made it look as though the land area was larger than this teeny tiny little gas station in the back. I must tell you, that's a very short run from the curb to where the gas station is. I don't know how Mr. Robinson thinks that that traffic is going to be the same as what's on 347 or 111. Entirely different area. I'm sorry to tell him this. And I know Huntington too, so we're talking different areas here. And this place is just not conducive to it. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kathleen Albrecht.
Supervisor, Councilman, good evening. My name is Kathleen Albrecht, and I work for Assemblyman Michael Fitzpatrick. He was unable to attend tonight because of a previous commitment, but he asked me to read and deliver the following letter. Gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to have my remarks read into the record this evening regarding the proposed zone change application for a convenience store to be constructed on a parcel with a pending application for a 12-pump filling station on the corner of Jericho Turnpike and Harned Road in the hamlet of Comac. Both uses will be operated by the Hess Oil Corporation. I strongly urge you to deny this application for the reasons of safety and to consider other uses that will generate fewer trips at what is a very congested and dangerous intersection. While a gasoline filling station is permitted under current zoning, a convenience store is not. Hess Oil will not erect a 4-pump station to replace the old 4-pump station that Shell operated years ago. The economics of the gasoline business have changed over the years, with small stations, including a repair garage, being replaced by higher volume operations coupled with a convenience store. With 2 high-volume operations on one site, the issue of proper site location takes on a higher level of importance, especially given the number of recent deaths on Jericho Turnpike in Smithtown. Having sat as a member of this board for many years, I understand the frustration of seeing vacant commercial parcels sit idle. not generating revenue to help ease a growing tax burden on residents. I applaud your recent efforts to conduct a review of the zoning ordinance and seek modifications to statutes that have served the town well for many, many years, but in some cases need to adapt to a new and very different lifestyle, land use, and business issues. That said, any review or modification of our zoning ordinance must be taken into consideration the growth in traffic congestion and its impact on the safe operations of our local businesses. Every applicant seeks the highest and best use of their property, a long-established principle, as their right. However, town authorities are charged with balancing the rights of a developer with the safety and well-being of the community at large. A fundamental rethinking of this principle is called for when an application such as this is under review. The application for a 12-pump filling station with a convenience store where a much smaller operation once existed may not be the best use of the property when the safety of motorists and pedestrians is considered. This application represents an increase in activity over what was there originally. A small service station on a once country road, built at a time when Comac felt more like Mayberry than the bustling community it is today, should not be replaced by a high-volume Hess station on steroids at a very heavily traveled 5-corner intersection. This application will greatly increase the risks of accidents, injuries, and very possibly death on this stretch of Jericho Turnpike.
Mrs. Albrecht, you've exceeded the 3 minutes. How much
2
more do you got?
seconds.
How much more?
One more.
Okay.
I'll be done in a second. The corner of Harned Road and Jericho Turnpike will always be a very attractive and valuable site for commercial development. I ask that you deny this application and work with the property owner to develop a use that will generate fewer trips and therefore improve motorist and pedestrian safety. Sincerely, Michael J. Fitzpatrick, Member of Assembly.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to make a personal comment. For the record, my name is Kathleen Albrecht. I reside at 39 New York Avenue in Smithtown. As a mother and a 29-year resident of the town of Smithtown, I have raised 2 children that are now grown women. Both girls had their driver's licenses at the age of 16. My oldest, Kate, spent 4 years driving herself back and forth 492 miles each way to Liberty University in Virginia. And my youngest, Laura, spent 4 years traveling 376 miles back and forth to Houghton College in Western New York. Thousands and thousands of miles and a lot of driving. The one and only time I received a phone call from a police officer informing me that my daughter Laura had been in an automobile accident was on May 22nd, 2009. A beautiful, clear, sunny afternoon. Laura was dead stopped at the intersection of Jericho Turnpike and Harned Road at a red light. Thank God she was in a safe car equipped with side and front airbags. She was hit by a truck that totaled her Toyota Camry. Her wedding was 2 days later. Had she not been in a safe car, I could be standing here today telling a very different story. I have over 30 years of driving experience. I've never had a car accident or even a ticket, and I myself have gotten confused at that intersection, especially at night coming off the Sunken Meadow Parkway. This is a very difficult and dangerous intersection, and I would ask that you would take into consideration the safety of the residents of Smithtown and deny this application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor.
Mr. Bud Harrelson. This is for the record, right? Put it in for the record. For the record.
Well, you know, this is my second try at this, and the what? You got my picture both times? Charge $65 for you taking pictures, I'm sorry. It is a dangerous, you know, I've been out here 42 years, and it is a dangerous, confusing cluster in that area. You know, I can't imagine every 5 minutes that if there's 12 people leaving, You know, I said it before, I really don't think that a gas station is operable for this property. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. O'Brien?
Good evening. My name is Daniel O'Brien. I live at 48 Half Hollow Road, Comac, New York. I've been a resident there for 52 years, which is about 1.5 miles away from this intersection. And I heard the analysis of the traffic people said 27 accidents is minimal. Well, my son had an accident at that intersection when the Shell gas station was there, and the vehicle was totaled. The vehicle was totaled. And if you think about making a left turn off Indian Head Road onto Jericho Turnpike, and all of a sudden that person making the left turn looks down at his gas gauge and says, oops, I need gas. So now he's going to turn in to this new station. That's an accident looking to happen. All right. Now, there are 4 gas stations within 1/2 mile of this site. 4 gasoline stations. How many do we need? Pretty soon, at $5 a gallon, we're not going to need any, probably. All right? All right. And as far as convenience stores are concerned, there are 6 of them. Hess, Dunkin' Donuts, Gasoline Heaven, 7-Eleven, Starbucks. How many more do we need? How much coffee do people have to drink? All right? I guess to stay sober maybe after they pay for the gas. Well, they won't have the money for that. All right? But seriously, I consider this a very dangerous intersection. I don't think the need for this type property needs to be on that corner. Yeah, we need to do something, but maybe a lesser volume. There used to be a shade shop there, all right? I don't think they had that kind of traffic in and out. They moved down the road because I guess they had lesser rent to pay and whatever. And in my last 44 seconds remaining, I would like to make a suggestion to the town that Valentine's Day is over, and we would appreciate if the decorations here could be changed to St. Patrick's Day. Thank you very much.
Joseph Marcal.
Mr. Vecchio and Town Board. A number of speakers have said how dangerous the intersection is. And I'm glad, Mr. Vecchio, that you asked the question of the people who are supporting it. The fact is, yesterday, while I was going on Jericho Turnpike, somebody coming off the Sunken Meadow Parkway made a left onto Indian Head Road, even though the arrows point to the right. But it happens all the time. Yesterday was a close call. I myself was in an accident when I stopped at the corner on Jericho Turnpike about 1970, and somebody rear-ended me there. I think that this is a very unsafe area. When they talked about the Hess station that was on Kings Park Road, where I make my turn to go, that's at a T, not at a 5-way intersection. There's little doubt in my mind that the estimate of only 1% increase in traffic at that intersection is an extremely low one. Hess takes credit cards at the same price as it does for cash. I go to the Hess station at the T. I'm sure other people will go to the Hess station if it's ever built, and the result of that will be much more than 1% increase in traffic. I think that's a fiction, not a fact. I'm absolutely opposed to that, and I think that one thing that the town could do to improve that intersection is to take that property, which is abysmal, the way it looks, and widen the road there so that somebody can make a right and it would be much, much more safe. I think that the increased traffic will be extremely dangerous. And I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Is this Paul Richards?
I'm Paul Richards, 20 Eckerncamp Drive, Smithtown, New York. I'm a concerned citizen. My wife, myself, drive through this intersection many, many times each day. I know the issue of blight and how it's unappealing is maybe a motivator for some to approve this project, but I think that there are other blighted places in Comac also in the area that are blighted, but this intersection has unique qualities that are dangerous, as other people have spoken about, and I think the dangerous intersection should override any blight issues or any other issues that may, impact anybody else's decision-making on this. I've been a real estate developer and gas station developer for 25 years, and I've done business in the 5 boroughs, Westchester, and Long Island. One thing is for sure, I would never build an ultra-high volume station like this with one curb cut, with a 22-inch opening for a 7-foot car, 2 7-foot cars, to go in and out of one curb cut. That is a recipe in itself for disaster because
22 feet?
22 feet.
Okay.
Car is 7 feet. Because the person who's exiting, going right, if a car is coming in, their line of sight looking west is obscured. That in itself is a recipe for all sorts of disaster. Also, I estimate that 30,000 cars a month will enter and exit this station. Now, if anybody's going to tell me that 30,000 cars a month coming out of this service station is not going to be a recipe for more accidents, they're living in Fantasyland. 25 accidents a year is too much. But is anybody going to take credit if there's, or stand up, be responsible if there's 30 or 40? Nobody's going to. So I would hopefully suggest that people deny this application, and I'm hoping that another solution can be found for this property. It's a very nice piece of property, very valuable, and I'm hoping another solution can be found. Thank you.
Lou Di Benedettis.
Good evening. My name is Lou Di Benedettis, and I'm a managing partner of Bennett Fuel, which is a gasoline distribution company that's headquartered in Smithtown for the last 40 years. Our company specializes in the development of gas stations and the distribution of petroleum products for national brands such as Shell and Gulf. Like many of tonight's speakers, this will be my second time speaking in opposition of this proposal. To be brief and concise, it's a bad proposal. It's a proverbial square peg in the round hole. The site is not conducive to a high-density, high-traffic generator such as a gas station. If this proposal was brought by a client to our company, we would pass on the opportunity due to the safety and congestion issues at this intersection. What we have here is the Hess Corporation, who in this case would be best compared to Walmart when debating why they want this site. Currently on the stretch of Jericho Turnpike between the Huntington-Smithtown border and the Smithtown Bowl, there are 8 gas stations to service the gasoline requirements of our town's citizens. This is more than an adequate amount of stations. Of the 8 stations, 2 are already Hess. The other 6 are run by independent small business people. In fact, Hess is the #1 distributor of gasoline in our town. My point here is that this proposal is basically a deliberate and targeted effort by Hess, not to improve a blighted property, but to increase their market share and eventually impose their leverage upon the existing stations. Why should they be getting special zoning consideration? Doesn't the existing small business people in Smithtown deserve consideration? It shouldn't be the company with the biggest budget who can get their way. Yet here we are tonight debating for the second time why Hess shouldn't get this special permission. Most station owners don't have Hess's budgets to pursue such an undertaking once, let alone twice. Yep, in my opinion, with a blatantly bad spot for a gas station. Here we are again. I grew up in this town, and I have the privilege of running a family business that's entering its 84th year. My memories of growing up in this town was that small business people were the backbone of the town and have made the town the amazing place it is to live and work. I consider it a privilege to be a member of this community. And I'm very proud to run a business that employs people with quality jobs that has allowed them to be members of the Smithtown community. Please keep that in mind when you cast your vote. Do we want to trade good-paying, full-time jobs for the 8 part-time minimum wage jobs that Hess will bring? I wouldn't think so. Many politicians will tell us that they're for the small business ban. Well, this proposal is a textbook example of how this board can prove this to the small business people of Smithtown by voting no. Please protect our town's small business people and let us continue the work to keep Smithtown strong and prosperous. Thank you.
Daniel McBride.
Good evening, and thank you very much for allowing me the time to come and speak in front of you. Today happens to be my son's 17th birthday, and he was, making sure that I was well aware that he now has the same driving privileges that I now have. So on his birthday, he asked me to please come down here. He actually typed this up and said, would I read this for him? So that I'm going to do. He starts off, good evening. If you had the opportunity to become a hero, would you? If you had the opportunity to benefit your community, would you? If you had the opportunity to save lives of citizens from where we live, would you? This proposed plan yields several obvious hazards. The intersection where this corner property lies is heavily traveled by vehicles daily. This is a fact that we can all agree on. The intersection of where this corner property lies unfortunately experiences numerous accidents. This is a fact that we can all agree on. Gas stations of Suffolk County, especially in the Smithtown and Comac area, have an incredibly high volume of vehicles entering and exiting their property. This is a fact we can all agree on. How can it be justified to amplify the extreme danger of this already unfavorable intersection to travel through? I know that the Smithtown Town Councilman and our highly acclaimed supervisor are not, he repeats, not sinecure officials. It is in my assurance that the men and women who have protected our community in its entirety for the full endurance of my life know all of these facts. Therefore, it is the proclivity of any positively contributing citizen of Comac and Smithtown to make the easy choice, the beneficial choice for the thousands who would be negatively impacted to please deny this proposal. I thank you all deeply for your time and the great extent you go to for the safety of myself, my family, and my friends. And that is from my son. In the last minute that I have, I just want to say that I have been a resident and I also am employed within the town of Smithtown since 1994. I have seen traffic increase from 1994. I am not a traffic expert, but the point that I do make that is valid is I drive this intersection every single day. I guarantee you I have more experience in that intersection than the traffic expert from Huntington has. It is a very dangerous intersection. It is not what they call simply easy to maneuver around there. So please take that in consideration. Please deny the proposal. Thank you for your time.
I didn't catch it. Rudy Massa.
Good evening. I'm Rudy Massa from Gasoline Heaven. I think most of you fellows on the board know who I am and what I'm doing here tonight. Before I get started, Christ the King Parish on Indian Head Road gave me a letter for Bob Creighton today, but they didn't have time to send it, so they asked me to read it. And I will do that. And then I will turn it in to the supervisor. It has come to our attention that Hess Corporation has filed for a permit to build another Hess gas station on the corner of Horner Road and Jericho Turnpike in Comac. It's our opinion that this would create a dangerous traffic hazard to the community, especially since that intersection has already been cited as a danger. We at Christ the King are especially concerned for our school children who could be at risk during the school hours. We appreciate your consideration in this matter. Sincerely, Salvatore Catino, the parish administrator. Okay, so I'm going to turn that into you. I also have a letter here that really pretty wordy from Charlie Gardner, who's the president of the Kings Park Civic Association, but wrote this letter on his own behalf, not the Civic Association's half. Okay? I also have almost 1,800 signatures on a petition. The folks of Comac are telling you folks here they don't like this. Okay? We support you folks. Our town supports you. It's your chance to support us. Okay? This traffic director comes up with all of these stories and all of these logics and everything else. Let me ask you something, fellas. In 2009, this town board turned this down. You folks turned this down for safety and traffic reasons. What the hell are we doing back here tonight again? How did it get to this point? It should have been long gone before it got to this. Are you saying now, 3 years later, that all of this traffic safety issues, all of the accidents, all of the hazards on that corner have suddenly gone away? I don't think so. So the point is, why are we here? I understand they're allowed to come back 2 years after. I get that. Okay, I get that. But what has changed on that corner? You fellas, this board, almost in its entirety, is the board that turns this down. So how in God's name are you going to now reverse what you did and now say, everything's fine, nothing's happening? This community came out to support this situation. And as you can see by all the people in the audience tonight, we didn't ask them to come out just for us. They came out for themselves. And we're here for them. 40 years we've given our lifeblood to this community. And as Lou Bennett said, this powerful oil company wants to come in and do what they want to do. They're not correcting the traffic situation. And one last thing, I only got 20 seconds here. By their own admission at the planning board hearing, they said they're going to do 4 loads of gas a week. That's 200,000 gallons a month, which is utter nonsense. We did the numbers. At a 12-gallon fill-up, that's 16,000 turns in and 16,000 turns out a month, and you're telling me that's not going to cause chaos? And this gentleman with the traffic did say in the survey that they did 17% more with their convenience store. Add that in, add the kids that get $20 because they don't have 70 to fill up a car, and you telling me that something like 40,000 movements on that intersection aren't going to hurt that corner?
Your time is up, unfortunately.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing me.
Matt Packman. We'll give it to the clerk.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the Town Board. My name is Matt Packman, 23 Fleetwood Road, Comac, New York. Mr. Supervisor, members of the Town Board, I have lived within 2 miles of this intersection since 1959. So it is with specific personal knowledge that I talk about the intersection of Harned Road and Jericho Turnpike. Members of the Town Board, just 2 weeks ago tonight, my wife Rochelle, who will address you in a little while, was almost killed driving through this intersection on the way home from my son's high school hockey game. She was driving safely and obeying all of the rules of the road. Our car sustained $20,000 worth of damage, and my sons and I watched my wife leave the scene of that accident in an ambulance. This, members of the Town Board, is one of the most complex and dangerous intersections in this town. That is why this application is so ill-conceived. To conclude that the use will not create a traffic hazard and not exacerbate a dangerous condition, respectively, is simply inaccurate. It makes no sense. Adding hundreds of car turns per hour to this intersection will be a disaster and, quite frankly, a potentially deadly one. It is common knowledge that a convenience store generates 3 to 4 times the amount of traffic that other retail stores do. And by the way, when the gas station, when that two-island gas station was closed, the amount of traffic accidents reduced by half. That's the data that the planning department shows. It is difficult to see how the zone change in any way accords with the town's comprehensive zoning plan for the development of this community. As this board is aware, the linchpin of proper use of the power to rezone is whether the zone change is in the public interest. Is it calculated to benefit the community as a whole as opposed to benefiting the applicant? Is that the case here? Again, it is hard not to view this request as essentially impermissible spot zoning, which is defined as when one singles out a parcel of land to be rezoned to a zoning classification totally different than that of the surrounding area for the benefit of the owner and the detriment of the surrounding properties. While the elimination of an underdeveloped property may be a worthy pursuit, it is not a legitimate and legally justified basis for a zone change. And, by the way, it is short-sighted. There are other much better potential uses for this property, such as a bank or an office building, that do not need a zone change and will not create such a traffic hazard. Of course, any use of the property will, to some degree, increase the traffic at the intersection. One does not need to be a traffic engineer to realize that, but as the local paper concluded, and I quote, "There is no worse use for this property than a gas station with a convenience store." Thank you very much.
Jacob Fayenson.
Good evening. My name is Jacob Fayenson, 9 Sound Road, Fort Salonga, New York 11768. I'm president of Phelan Realty, the owner of the property, 2104 Jericho Turnpike. And one reason I bought this property, that I was assured before I bought it, I went to building department, that yes, a gas station was there and it could be restored again.
Could you pull that microphone closer to you?
Okay. I was assured that I will have the right to restore it. This is why in 2004 I bought this property. Since then, 3 projects, 3 attorneys, including the Hess, and it's 7 years and 3 months later, and nothing moved. Even my mortgage states clearly that I am allowed to put a gas station over there on this property. And one short notice. We're talking about a lot of gas stations. If you go east from Elwood Avenue in Huntington, only one gas station all the way to the City Hall of Smithtown. Only one Gulf gas station. So 2 gas stations on a stretch of 10 or 12 miles is not too many. We can see a lot of intersections, 3 corners, 3 gas stations. Okay? I just plead you to approve this project, because this project is the best one which was made, because the original designer of the Shell station told it was terrible. It was 5 feet from the sidewalk. This is why the whole chain of events started to change and to change and to change. And this is the best project and the safest project I believe in. Please approve it. Thank you.
Mr. Faison, I just want to be clear that the building department didn't tell you anything that was improper.
No.
Okay.
No.
So they said you can build a gas station there.
Yes, and they told me what to do step
However,
by step.
right, no, okay, but this application requires zone changes.
Right, no, that was I was not told.
Okay, well, but that's the reason we're here. Not because somebody wants to put a gas station, but because the applicant wants to change zonings of other properties to accommodate a gas station and a convenience store. I just want to correct the record that the building department did not lead you astray.
No, the thing is, it was a terrible corner with broken cars all around. The repair shop, nobody needs a repair shop like this. And it was gas stations with pumps designed terribly. That's why, to improve it, to make it beautiful, that's how it started. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Stephen Russo.
Hello. Steve Russo from 6 Lynch Lane, Smithtown, New York. I've lived in Smithtown and Comac for 48 years. I've watched the development grow. I've unfortunately personally been in an accident in that corner, not too proud of. And to be honest with you, I can't see how you could have another gas station in such a close area. We went from a beautiful town of Smithtown, Comac, and we're turning it into an industrial park. It makes no sense to me. With all the money that was spent for traffic, which I've already explained, I've been in an accident myself and many of accidents. The money that was spent for traffic, I'd like to know how much money was spent in environmental impact. Has Hess spent a dime for any type of environmental impact? Has anyone even mentioned this? No, not one of you. That bothers me. I got children. I've been living here for 48 years. The other thing that bothers me is basically David and Goliath. You guys are here. We voted for you. You have an opportunity to protect the public. This is your opportunity. We have Hess that has how many gas stations within, I don't know, 5 miles? Maybe. And you want to have another one. I don't know how that's going to help the community. I don't know how that's going to help anyone but Hess, which is a tremendous corporation. A mom and pop place I'm proud of as a resident, as you should be as residents. To allow this to happen is a disgrace. And like I said before, I don't want to see Comac in Smithtown turn into an industrial park. You can find something else that could possibly be in that corner that we all can be proud of. I totally respect the fact of the person who owns that property. Something should be built there. Absolutely. Perhaps somebody can come up with a better idea than a huge corporation. And that's it.
Val S. Marino. Is there a Mr. Marino here?
Supervisor, Mr. Vecchio.
Put that down.
Supervisor, Mr. Vecchio.
Yes.
Board members and local residents of town of Smithtown and Comac. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address the dangerous concerns that many of the Comac residents and other drivers from various towns have regarding the proposed construction of a new gas station located at the southeast corner of Jericho Turnpike and the intersection of Harnard Road and Indian Road, whereby Harnard Road runs in the southerly direction of Jericho Turnpike.
Mr. Marino, if you pull the microphone closer to you, we'll all hear you.
Down? Is that good?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This intersection is extremely burdened with heavy traffic. You have the Sunken Meadow Parkway exit flowing into Jericho Turnpike going east. On Road and Indian Head Road, which runs north in the south direction, you have heavy traffic with a mix of cars, heavy commercial trucks, rigs, construction equipment. As you are aware, Plygon, the big trucking renting company located on Indian Head Road, have many large commercial trucks going in and out day and night. Mix all of the above vehicles into consideration, and Jericho Turnpike running east and west direction, the vehicles running at a fast clip day and night, 7 days a week. Thus, we have is a very dangerous situation, a death trap. This intersection has many accidents. Add to this gas station at this location with trying vehicles to make turns in and out of a gas station can only make the traffic congestion worse. I repeat, a death trap. In accordance with many residents I have spoken to, they share the same thoughts. Therefore, we, the residents of Comac, are requesting that you and the committee exercise an abundance of caution in reviewing and evaluating the dangerous traffic accidents that can occur if this gas station was built at this intersection. As some of you are aware, if not all of you, just a half a mile east of this intersection is a Hess station. You go a mile west of this intersection, there's a Hess station. And then anywhere between Nassau-Suffolk line and I forget the name of the street. Oh, Smithtown bypass. There are many Hess stations. Perhaps it probably would serve better by considering a different type of business that would be less congested, having flowing in and out of the property. The other thing is that time is up.
Do you have much more to go?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say I've been a resident here for 48 years. I've seen this town grow. I love this town. I raised my 2 children here. And it appears to me that Hess wants to drive out all the small businessmen who own gas stations and just run all of Jericho Turnpike. That's my personal opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Rochelle Packman.
Good evening. I'm Rochelle Packman, 23 Fleetwood Road, Comac. 2 weeks ago tonight, I was just doing the Comac mom thing. Went to my son's hockey game at the rinks, was coming back, and I thought my biggest problem was that my son's team lost. But that was not my biggest problem. That night, my biggest problem became a horrible accident. As I was crossing over Jericho Turnpike to go onto Indian Head Road, a car came at a high speed because he ran a red light and because he was trying to make a U-turn where he's not allowed to, and hit me so hard that my car spun around out of control, not once but twice in the intersection. I held on to the steering wheel like I was on a bad ride in an amusement park. Somehow, through the grace of God, the car, SUV I was driving, airbags, and what I really think is that my guardian angel was on duty that night. My car came to a stop, and I was not hurt physically. I was able to get out of the car. My 17-year-old son, who's only been driving for 4 months, was about 10 minutes behind me. He came onto the scene and saw his mother's mangled car, drove into the Friendly's parking lot, and came to the scene. I did the mom thing. I assured him I was okay. Then the EMTs came, and that's when I started shaking uncontrollably. It was a hideous, horrible, terrifying experience. Despite what, with all due respect, the traffic engineer says, despite what that intersection permits or controls for, it doesn't control for human error. It doesn't control for this man who's not from Comac, who's not familiar with the intersection, who was looking to make a U-turn where he's not allowed to. Why he ran a red light, that's human error. That happens all the time anyway. I am here as a Comac mom. Hear my voice, please, and understand that I am representing all of the moms in Comac. We drive our kids around. We drive other people's kids around. We must traverse that intersection many, many, many times a day. It is currently an extremely unsafe intersection. The very next night, as I drove through the intersection, because I have to, as I was cringing driving through the intersection, not 12 hours before, having gone through that horrible accident, what did I see? Another accident. Comac moms are not concerned about that lack of space there, that space there being an eyesore. You know what's an eyesore? The sight of emergency vehicles and lights and sirens. That's an eyesore. That's what people are greeted with too much of the time when we come into that intersection. We in the Comac community, we are concerned about one thing: safety. Please, please take this opportunity to protect the people of Comac. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat Fazio.
Mr.
Mr. Supervisor, Town Board. My name is Patrick Fazio. I've been a lifelong resident of Comac, and I am presently a commissioner in the Comac Fire District. I understand the plight of the owners of the property. I happen to know one of the owners. However, this is a bad idea. When you talk about traffic, and I respect your expertise, but I think you've missed the mark here. That intersection, as Ms. Packman just said, is horrible. There's accidents constantly. There's constantly accidents. And the Hess gas station that is at Kings Park Road and Jericho Turnpike, that station in itself, I live behind it. The traffic increase, since that's there on Kings Park Road, there's a backlog up Kings Park Road now. And since July, there's been 4 accidents coming in or going out of that Hess gas station. The facts are there. You could go by what they say with these studies. I'm telling you, if it's approved, a year from now, you'll regret it. That's all I got to say.
Michael Watt.
Good evening. My name is Michael Watt. I'm the Executive Director of the Long Island Gasoline Retailers Association. And as such, I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the 500-plus automotive-related business owners and operators that we represent in the New York metropolitan area, many of whom conduct business in the town of Smithtown. As a trade association, we naturally encourage competition in a healthy business environment. But we are concerned about Hess's plans to establish a mega convenience store on the corner of Harnett Road and Jericho Turnpike in Smithtown, primarily because of the inherent dangers associated with squeezing such a substantial operation into a site that was not designed to accommodate it, at least not according to the current zoning regulations. We are also concerned about the growing corporatization of Long Island. Because of the extraordinary cost of doing business in this region, high utility rates, high taxes, high cost of labor, and so on, it is increasingly challenging for local, independently owned businesses to remain in operation. A decision by the town of Smithtown to amend the rules to accommodate a mega convenience store owned by a company based in New Jersey will only exacerbate this trend. This mega convenience store will not bring new business to the town, but rather siphon off customers from locally owned businesses that have been contributing to the Smithtown tax base for decades. Liger wants to see this blighted eyesore disappear as much as everyone else does, but the business operation that replaces it should either be a service station that fits within the current zoning requirements or an alternative business that will not drive long-time and local business operators from the area. Thank you for allowing me to speak before you tonight.
Ed Monahan.
Good evening. My name is Ed Monahan. I'm a 38-year resident of Comac, 36-year member of the Comac Fire Department. And I can tell you I've cut many people out of many cars at Harnett Road and Jericho Turnpike without the Hess gas station being there. And if we put aside all these studies and start to think common sense, what we have going on is basically a 3-card Monte game. These people from Hess and their people, they tell you about these other 5 stations that work beautiful. And I'm sure they do. But none of those stations compare to this intersection and the traffic that goes through this intersection. If you've ever tried to get in and out of the spare rib or gasoline heaven on a busy afternoon at rush hour or a busy Saturday afternoon, it's almost impossible. Did we have a gas station on that corner? Absolutely. It had 4 pumps, not 12. So it was easy in and easy out, and we had a lot less traffic back then. What we have here, everybody knows how a funnel works. Well, that's what they're creating, a funnel. If you take a funnel and you pour a lot of liquid into the top of it, you have to wait for it to drain out that little hole on the bottom. And that's what's going to happen. These cars are going to try to pull into that gas station, and traffic is going to back up down Jericho Turnpike and down Harnett Road. With all these studies where we have, oh, this traffic comes out and flows this way, then that light turns red, then these go green and they'll go fine. On paper, it looks wonderful. Just remember what I told you, the funnel. Sooner or later, everything jams up trying to get into that 22-foot cut of people going in and out into that gas station. It's not going to work. And I just want to remind you one thing. Remember, you work for these people. You don't work for the Hess gas station. So keep in mind who you work for when you make a decision, and I urge you to turn this gas station down.
Kevin Byer. Kevin Byer.
You said it all. Good evening. My name is Kevin Byer. I'm in a unique situation in this hearing. I'm the president of Long Island Gasoline Retailers Association, which represents the independent gasoline repair shop and convenience store owners and operators. I'm also the owner of a service station located on Veterans Memorial Highway in Smithtown. When this application came before the town board 3 years ago, I spoke in opposition of allowing the change of use for Hess to build another site in Smithtown. The town of Smithtown has been more than accommodating to this major corporation. The correct decision was made at that time, and it should still stand today. I understand the need for a change of use for some applications when there is a need to help serve the community. There is no need to add another gasoline station in the area that is proposed when the community has more locations than they can go to, including 5 Hess gas stations in the town of Smithtown. I know that competition isn't a valid argument to stop a zoning change, but take a look around at the local business community that has made a substantial investment into their locations based on the zoning in the area. When I speak of substantial investments, I'm speaking of several hundred thousands of dollars per location. I know this firsthand from the investments that I have made at my particular location. We made these business decisions based on the last denial of the application. If the Hess Corporation wants to open the site up as a gas station with 4 pumps, the way it is zoned, we have less opposition to it on a business standing because they can do it as of right now. If this town board can vote in good conscience knowing that you will be hurting the other local gas station owners who not only work in this community, live, pay taxes, and vote in this community, you'll be doing a major injustice by putting some of them out of business just to accommodate Hess. The other major issue that surrounds the site is the safety issue. If the town board doesn't feel that this intersection will become even more dangerous than it already is, then you're really turning a blind eye to the situation. I've traveled this road since I was a child with my grandparents, and that road has changed significantly. The traffic is much more plentiful, the speeds have increased, and there are many in and outs of businesses which create more accidents. Just picture someone trying to beat a yellow light at that corner as a car in front decides to stop to pull into the station. The potential for injury is great. Is this town ready to handle the lawsuits that will come about from the accidents due to the change of use at this location? My family travels that road quite frequently, which concerns me. Now there might be even a greater reason for concern. There are two closed locations of service stations in the area that Hess could apply for without having zoning or safety issues at the forefront. So this really comes down to we are large, have money, and we can get what we want, regardless of what the community wants. You represent the community, not the interest of this large corporation that you have been more than generous to. Please do the right thing and oppose this application once again.
David Watson.
Good evening. Dave Watson, 12 Legend Court, Smithtown. I travel that road every day from work. I work in Bay Shore. I get off that exit ramp every day. I've gotten rear-ended just recently. People pulling into spare rib. They stop short, people come up behind you. All right, that station I was offered 4 years ago by Mr. Jacob. I was going to put a used car lot / a detail shop. He refused because he said, well, he was going to give it to me for 8 months, but he refused. He said, Hess is definitely coming in here. So that was the bottom line. He didn't want anything changed. He was going to get Hess no matter what. I travel it every day, and it's just a bad, bad, bad road. People blowing that lights, making a left onto Indian Head going north all the time. I've seen it so many times. So I think you should oppose this application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron York.
Good evening. Ron York, 39 Villa Lane, Smithtown, New York. I'm a little puzzled. Maybe you guys can help me. Westbound traffic, are they going to be able to, well,
York, ask a
okay,
question here
I
and
will.
they'll hear it.
Is westbound traffic on Jericho Turnpike going to be able to access the gas station?
Can you answer that?
Okay, is southbound traffic on Harnett Road going to be able to enter the gas station? No. Okay, right there is going to be a problematic thing. You know, people, even though the sign's going to be there, don't make a left, they're going to do it anyhow. Coming off of Sunken Meadow Parkway every night, coming home from work, is always someone making a left, going up north on Indian Head Road, as we've heard tonight. Okay? We don't need to have this potential problem. You gentlemen tonight have the power in your authority here tonight to say no to this. All right? You don't want to have another police officer have to make a phone call to a loved one saying that their loved one was in an accident. All right? God forbid, serious or even worse, fatal. You have the power tonight. The property is a valuable property. We all understand that. We do understand the owner's plight, but it does not have to be a gas station. Have it go to something else. Ladies and gentlemen, please, please, we urge you, as the town and resident, do not let this happen. You are going to regret it. Thank you.
Joseph Mortarano.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Joseph Moderano, and I live right around the corner on Violet Lane, and I'm extremely perturbed about this situation. The traffic at Jericho and Harnan Road is extremely overpowering. I can't even get out of my development because of the Dunkin' Donuts there, which needs a light. That is an eyesore, that piece of property, but a gas station there is not in my best interest. I oppose to it 100%. Thank you, gentlemen.
Father Sean Gann.
Mr. Supervisor, council members, I wouldn't imagine that you would be surprised that I'd be here this evening to speak in support of an establishment with the term heaven in its title. But I want to state at the beginning that I'm opposed to the development on the corner of Harnett Road and Jericho Turnpike. The site is a blight. It is an eyesore. It definitely needs something that would be beneficial to our community, something that would be welcome. It seems by the overwhelming majority of statements here this evening, the Hess gas station is not welcome. I'm not convinced that Hess gas station, Convenience Mart, is the best thing for that particular corner. If you head roughly west on Jericho Turnpike, there's a newly renovated Hess gas station and Convenient Mart adjacent to Home Depot just shy of Larkfield Road. If you head east on Jericho, of the Harnett intersection, at the corner of Kings Park Road and Jericho Turnpike, another Hess gas station. In Kings Park alone, my parish community, there are 2 Hess gas stations within 1 mile of each other. Had I known that the bottom line and the profit margin of the Hess Corporation was doing so well and their expansion could proceed at the pace that it's proceeding, I would have invested the Sunday collection with them. I'm a supporter of free enterprise, but this is beginning to have the shades of a monopoly. Gasoline Heaven is a family-owned and operated business. I've known the Massive family for 13 years. I'm a customer of theirs. They were parishioners of mine for 9 years. I have been in the unique position of observing firsthand how it is that this family-owned and operated business has given back to the community around them in any number of ways, and I'm certain that there are more people who can speak to that. There is support for our youth, for local charities, for the community at large. They employ people who live, shop, and are part of the Smithtown community. It would appear to me that Hess has plenty of opportunities to do very well for themselves in the town of Smithtown. That's good for them and for our town. But to position them in the proposed location is problematic for any number of reasons, least not of which would be the impact on gasoline heaven, a family-owned and operated business, which I believe is the type of enterprise that you, as a town council, supervisor, and we as the community who have elected you, would feel is really more in the better interest of the residents of this town. Thank you.
We have to pause for a couple of moments. The tape on the machine needs to be changed. So just bear with us.